Hare Krishna. Welcome back to our discussion on the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So we discussed in the first talk about how love is eternal when it is understood that the subject of love, the person who is loving, is this eternal soul. And then we talked about the other side of an eternal love, that is the object of love. How the Gita describes God, who is not a judge high in the sky, nor a sage on a stage, but is a guide by the side. As he is being the charioteer of Arjuna, and as he is in his indwelling presence as Paramatma in our hearts. Now we will discuss the essence of the Gita in its 4 nutshell verses. So many great commentators have explicated the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita, and one of the great such commentators is Ramanujacharya, and he has described the essence of the Gita in verses 10.8 to 11, and subsequent commentators have also recognized the central importance of these verses. So let's begin with 10.8 and move through the 4 verses to understand how the Gita reflects the essence of love in these 4 verses. So 10.8 is Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the source of everything. Mattah sarvam pravartate, everything emanates from me, everything is sustained by me. Iti matva bhajante mam, those who know this, bhajante mam, they worship me. Buddha bhava samanvitaha, they become wise and they worship me. They devote themselves to me, bhava samanvitaha, with the emotion of their heart, with all the emotion of their heart. So here the Bhagavad Gita talks about enlightenment in terms of understanding God's position, and enlightenment in terms of the resulting transformation of our disposition. So understanding God is not just like some other subject that we may know. Okay, I know about accounts, I know about economics, I know about say office management, I know about homekeeping, whatever it is. I know this and that's it. Then I may apply it for some practical purposes. I might earn a living, I might exhibit my skills, whatever. But that is largely theoretical knowledge, and even if you apply it, that application is to the external world around us. But the Bhagavad Gita's knowledge is not theoretical, and it is neither theoretical nor external. It is transformational and it is internal. So understanding God, if we consider a God simply as a statue that is there in the temple, or we think of God as some being that some people believe in, that my culture has taught me to believe, then that is a superficial understanding of God. If we understand God as the Bhagavad Gita tells us, as the source of everyone, source of you, source of me, source of all of us, that means He is the supreme parent. He is our greatest well-wisher. He is our greatest lover. There is no one who desires our good more than Him. There is no one who can do more good for us than Him. And there is no one by loving whom can we do more good than Him. So when we understand this, then naturally the result of that understanding is that our heart gets transformed. Just as if we tell someone that, oh, in your house, your father has kept a locker under the second cupboard in your bedroom, under the tiles over there, and that locker contains $10 billion. And what should that knowledge do? That person, if it is truly understood that knowledge, then that person will immediately go there, remove the tile and get the treasure. Similarly, if we truly understand God to be the supreme object of love, then the result of that knowledge will be that our heart and life will be transformed. If we understand that in loving God we can get the highest fulfillment, then naturally we will concentrate our love on Him. So here it is said that knowledge of God is transformational in terms of bhajante mam, that it inspires us to become devoted to Him. And such devotion is Buddha, it is enlightened. So here the Bhagavad Gita talks about the harmonization of the head and the heart. To understand God's supreme position is the perfection of the head. And to offer all of one's devotion to all of one's emotion, all of one's devotion to God is the perfection of the heart. And in this way, the head and the heart are harmonized when they are directed towards God. Then the next verse, 10.9, the Bhagavad Gita states, Macchitta madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. So, Macchitta madgata prana, the Bhagavad Gita says that Macchitta, those whose consciousness is fixed on me, madgata prana, that those whose lives are devoted to me, bodhayantah parasparam, they discuss among each other, they enlighten each other. Kathayantascha mam nityam, and they constantly talk about me. Tushyanti charamanti cha, and they delight in talking about me. So here Krishna now moves from the principle of, takes the concept of enlightenment from the individual level to the social level, where sometimes people think that, oh, if you become enlightened, then you just become disconnected from the world and you are seeking your own pleasure. No, Krishna says that our connection with God does not mean the rejection of our connection with others. Rather, our connection with God brings about integration of our connection with others. So here it is said that those who are devoted to God, they learn to lovingly and constantly discuss about the glories of God and delight therein. And often, when we meet our loved ones, we ask, how are you, how is your health, and then the discussion that we have thereafter depends largely on whether we have shared interests. Sometimes we may have some relatives, and those people, if their interest and our interest don't match, then we may as a formality meet them, but we may not have much to discuss with them. And sometimes some people may be externally very dissimilar, but if they have a shared interest, then their friendship also not only develops quickly but also grows strongly. So here, when we talk about relationships, and today in today's world, relationships are a source of great anguish. And all of us, we are social beings and we need relationships. But in today's world, the very relationships that we hope and dream and aspire will bring us fulfillment, love, protection, joy, those same relationships often bring heartbreak, frustration, anguish, and misery. So, quite often the problem in the relationship comes because there are no substantial shared interests. So, people shared interest doesn't mean just financial interest, but where people can talk of something satisfying without constantly crossing each other, and without voicing their differences and getting frustrated over those differences. Now, yes, we are all individuals, and as individuals, all of us are not just different, we are unique. No, you are unique. There is no one like you, and yet everyone is like you. How is that? We are each unique like everyone else. So this is the beauty of individuality, that there is no one like you and everyone is like you. Everyone is like us in the sense that no one is like us. So everyone is unique. So now the point is, if we are all unique, then how can we have relationships? We need to have shared interests. And the one interest that we can all share is God. Because God is related to all of us. Now, we may or may not realize right now how God is related to us. But the Bhagavad Gita gives a very inclusive conception of God. In the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, later part 41, Krishna says that Yad Yad Vibhuti Matsattvam Shri Madhurjitame Bhava Tattadeva Vagachatvam Mamate Jomsha Sambhava. So, whatever is opulent, whatever is attractive, whatever is glorious in this world, whatever catches our attention is actually a spark of Krishna's splendor. So, a beautiful sunset, a magnificent waterfall, a brilliant player, a superb artist, anybody who does anything special, that speciality which attracts us to them, that is a spark of God's attractiveness. So, if we understand this connectedness of everything with God, then we can connect our interests, whatever subjects interest us, whatever attracts us, we can connect that with the supreme all attractive principle, that is God. So the celebrated Beatle George Harrison, who was often called as a spiritual Beatle because he had a lot of spiritual interest. He was very interested in the Bhagavad Gita. He was interested in Srila Prabhupada, who wrote the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada was the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And when he met Srila Prabhupada and learned about Krishna more and more from him, he became intensely devoted to Krishna. And he wrote many beautiful songs wherein he introduced the names of Krishna to millions and millions of people all over the world. One of his most celebrated songs is My Sweet Lord. And it is one of the most stirring devotional renditions of a heart's call for God, fervently and desperately, that is phrased in the English language in contemporary music at that time. And it was phenomenally popular, introducing millions and millions of people to the principle of devotion to God. This same George Harrison was asked by Srila Prabhupada to write an introduction to the Krishna book, which was Srila Prabhupada's translation of the 10th canto. And there he wrote that everyone is attracted to Krishna. Some people know it and some don't. So actually, whatever we are attracted to, that is a manifestation of Krishna. So in that sense, whatever we are attracted to, we are attracted to Krishna. So when we spiritualize our relationships by relating our interests to Krishna, then we can stabilize those relationships in a truly sustainable way. We have a vertical relationship with God and we have a horizontal relationship with others. Now, the Bhagavad Gita enables us to harmonize these two relationships, the vertical and the horizontal, by explaining that whatever each of us is attracted to, as we are individuals, we all have our own interests. And when we are to relate with each other, often our individual interests, they may not intersect so much, and that causes conflict. They may not overlap so much, they may not agree so much. But when we understand that whatever interests us is coming from God, and when we bring God in the center of our lives and see our relationships not just as our relationships, but we understand God as a third partner in our relationship, and we understand that by the way we treat our loved ones, that reflects on our connection with God. And then that, when we gain satisfaction and strength from our relationship with God, then even if there are small ups and downs, small tussles, small differences in our relationships with others, that does not upset us so much. When we are filled internally, then we can tolerate externally. But when we are agitated internally, we are unfulfilled internally, then some small problem, some small misdemeanor from someone, and that causes an explosion. So when we have a connection with God, then tushyanti charamanti cha, then that connection with God brings about harmony and joy in our relationship with others. So the Bhagavad Gita describes devotion not just as a connection with God, but as a connection with others. In this way, the Bhagavad Gita stabilizes and spiritualizes our relationships too. We'll continue our discussion about the essence of the Gita in 4 verses in our next talk. Thank you. Hare Krishna.